Hi guys, my name is Mark and this is the only non-paid existing review of the Alienware 500Hz monitor. Let's go. So now you ask yourself, how is this German guy having this monitor already? At first, what kind of monitor is it? Basically, it's a Dell Alienware 2524H. H is not for heroin. I have no idea why it's called H, but it has 500 Hz on 24.5 inch on full HD. So it's a very common size, display size, and the resolution is the ones you think it's the best for esports. For me, this is like kind of outdated already. I think for most of the people above 24 years in age, this is outdated too, or they maybe cannot accept that a bigger screen like 27-inch 1440p will give way more advantages in any game than they would believe. And yes, they are also very competitive in this range. You see it, for example, on the AQN or on the OLED model from LG and the new OLED, which comes from Asus. Nevertheless, mostly, or as we know from the general development of displays, these kind of displays, the smaller ones, are the ones who get the higher refresh rates. First, why? Because it's easy. The amount of pixels is low, the mask is not very detailed, so the drivers also able to have different voltages because the size, the diagonal way it needs to move is very short. For example, Asus did a dual driver, so 2 refreshes starting at one time from top left and down right side at the same time to make the overall blur feeling and the motion picture response time way better on the 1440p 27-inch version than they had before on the QNR model or QN model, 360 Hz full HD. So what I want to say is that you have to expect that a Gen 1, so a first generation 500 Hz IPS display, which this is, may not perform as you know it, or may perform not the way it would perform if they would have 1 or 2 more years in development. This is just to demonstrate or show what is possible in my opinion, but we know from BOE showcase that 480 and 520 Hz is already available since March last year, or January it was, and even on 27-inch full HD, and it's working. Who is BOE, you ask me? That's the guys who make all the Apple displays. That's the guys who make the newest LPFO display on the new Huawei, I think, which has also lithium carbon accumulator inside, so which is full of new tech. So BOE, in my opinion, is the leader in tech in general. Maybe not in how specialized they are for gamers, but they are also interpolating, for example, 4K to 600, 800 FPS right now already. And they just sell it. But you can't get it because you are not in China. Anyway, this one, it's fast. Can you recognize it? That's the first question you all ask yourself or will ask me. Yes, you can. Does it depend on the FPS? Does it depend on the FPS? Good question. I played Apex, 300 FPS. I played Valorant, Overwatch, 500 and 600 FPS. Yes and no. I can tell you that like 600 FPS on it on an Overwatch felt way better than 500 cap. I know the cap system in Overwatch is not the best. Maybe this was the fault, but playing it open at 600 FPS was kind of nuts, not gonna lie. Tracking is super smooth. I played with the 4K Razer. Awesome. Now you ask me what kind of setup I have. I have like a 4090 and a 5800X 3D. It's like the combination is not the best, to be honest. Could be way better with a better CPU, but for me it works, and it works pretty fine. You have those 600 FPS capped. I also have 600 FPS capped on 1440p with the HQN. And I played it in Apex, and I can tell you that for games like Apex and Overwatch, besides it's an insane tracking feeling because of the high FPS in Overwatch, I would say this monitor is more made for games like Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six or Valorant, where you have like standing still, waiting for an enemy and want to have the biggest advantage by the lowest input lag and latency possible. Then this one is the best choice. Also, like when someone is jumping in front of the door on Dust 2 or wherever in Counter-Strike, this one is the best to hit this guy whilst he was jumping or corner peeking or whatever. That's this monitor. If you play Apex or Overwatch and you have all the visual clutter, all the colors, fast movement, a lot of people running around, high FOVs, this monitor is maybe not the choice. Why not? Besides, it's an awesome feeling with any mouse, even with 1000 Hz, it's awesome, not gonna lie. I think your main problem will be that you are not able to really identify and follow the enemy as you want, because the visual clutter and the colors, not the brightness okay, but the colors and how saturated they are and how the movement and the blur feeling in general is not as superior as, for example, on the BenQ Sovi 2566K or on the AQN. If you play with the AQN Overwatch or Apex, feels like a cheat code, because you see basically everything and you hit everything because you see it, you are able to visualize it, and it's a super clear picture on both in different ways. Here more bright, more saturated, more contrast, more deepness. On the BenQ Sovi, for example, way clearer in any movement. On Overwatch, insane. Here it's more like you feel it's super fast, the refreshes are super fast, it's super smooth feeling. The how fast you're able to micro adjust and correct the movement from left to right strafes, it's super nice. This monitor has 1.2 milliseconds in input lag. That's insane for an IPS monitor. I think those 500 FPS and 500 Hz on the measurement helped a lot. Here, for example, on the AQN and on the BenQ 2566K, dependent on the setting, you are between 1.4 and 1.6 milliseconds. So I know it's only 1.2 to 1.4 milliseconds advantage or better than the other two monitors, but there is an advantage and it is faster. And this is the reason, or this is one of the reasons why those products were made or are made, because those 0.2, 0.4 milliseconds will lead to maybe the 1-2 pixels earlier or pictures you see the enemy before the enemy sees you. That's the only reason why this one exists. And for me, it's not the monitor I would say everyone needs. That's like, it's a very specified field of people, group of persons who I would say should buy this. All the others buy something what makes you happy, what you enjoy, watch every day. For me, it's the AQN. I love it. And here I agree, it has a competitive advantage for sure. But for me, it's not giving me the vibe. I don't have the feeling when I'm playing it 6 hours in one stint that I enjoyed the game. And for me, it was more like having too much, not problems, but having too much to adapt to how the display is, which again is not dark. I played it on high daylight. We also recorded it on it, and I played it even with a very bright room in the evening. I also played it with a dark room. Totally okay. The settings here are, when you go for esports settings, on max, and on everything, brightness, contrast, everything, you just put the dark stabilizer to 0, and then you have the best picture available here. But for me, it's like, it's not the thing I'm looking for after playing like nearly 2 decades of my life playing games on any system. And I started with CRTs, like with 60 hertz or something. And don't know. It's, what is it? 800 US dollar, 829.99 on the USA Dell homepage, and you can order it. It's new, add to cart, you can get it. And we saw it's like 909 or 910, for example, if you're living in New York with tax, and that's roughly 840, 830, 20 euros, something like that, so below 900. And as I know, the new Asus TN version of the 500 Hz generation will be roughly an 8 to 1,000 euros. Also, I think they told me already on Twitter that it's below 1,000 euro. And the drop is also very soon, as much as I know. Asus is a little bit different there. I hope it gets available everywhere, because, for example, here, this guy was available at early February in China. And then some people got it there for me or ordered it for me, because the first batch was like gone in a second. And first March week or something like that, they got it for me and sent it to me with FedEx Express. And second March week or something, I had it here. I played it, tested, we benched it with the LDOT, we made gray to gray, everything for you. I will show you in a second. And I would can tell you that there's no date for Europe. I have no numbers, no dates when it gets released in Germany, UK or Sweden or wherever you're living. No clue. It is in USA right now, and the rest, no one knows. And they don't tell us, and they tell no one. Also, I only saw the review of Linus Tech Tips, who got hacked 1-2 days ago. And so this is that's the only review you can watch this week about this monitor. But I will send it to Optimum Tech directly after we recorded this here. So you have another review there, which will go way more deep in tech, because he has like the equipment, cameras and stuff to, for example, give you those FPS synced videos and analyzes. We don't have this. It's like our hobby here. But yeah, we have an LDOT. NVIDIA broadly gave it to us already. We have the second generation. We're with NVIDIA since a longer stint, also longer term. And I just measured this stuff for you. The latency, I told you already, it's 1.2 milliseconds. So not the latency, the lag, the display latency, the input lag. What else we measured? I measured the end-to-end latency on 500 FPS with G-Sync disabled. It's 1.9 milliseconds, and on G-Sync enabled, in average, is 2.9 milliseconds. Just keep this in mind. What is G-Sync made for? G-Sync is made for a smoother, way more stable picture and viewing experience for you. So for like having a nice game and for not having a nice game, for just the raw power, it's, as I said, 1.9 milliseconds in end-to-end average latency. It's pretty good. It's very good, I can tell you guys. Then I measured the gray-to-gray rates, which also includes the nits, so the brightness. It includes the overshoot, and I just compared with, for me, the other two most important displays on the market right now, the 1440p AQN from Asus, the BenQ Zoe 2566K. And just by how the raw numbers look, we know that the Asus is 1.4 milliseconds in average with a max of 2 milliseconds, and the BenQ is 1.4 milliseconds in average with a max of 4.7 milliseconds, which are both very good, which have both different fields, like We know that the BenQ Sovi, for example, is more there for the usage of the diag and for the clearer picture. And we know that you buy the AQN if you just want to have awesome brightness, awesome color experience, and immersive picture. So both of them are really, really good. The overshoot in average is 30.3% on the BenQ and 16.7% on the Aces. Also very decent numbers. Both are in their fields, in the IPS and in the TM panel fields right now. Premium, market leading. That's why we mentioned them here. And now we come to the Alienware here, which has an average of 1.8 milliseconds gray to gray at the 929 pattern, which is like, I don't know. Maybe they should have tuned the display a little bit more or change the setting a little bit, I don't know. But that's okay, it's not top notch. Also the max is like 3.9 milliseconds. I think that's mainly because of the, not the dual driver, not IXO display, but I think those 500 Hertz to adapt or to make it with a dual driver would be nearly impossible right now. And the overshoot in general is 14.4%, which is pretty close to the BenQ Sovi, but I think these numbers or how it's made are more influenced or affected by those high FPS and Hertz, which are the main driver or the main thing why you will buy this thing. So we have the latency numbers, the gray to gray, and I can tell you the picture is very smooth. You can really, really track insane with it and early click and everything you can imagine what is fast or easy, smooth. This guy is capable of if you have a good system and, for example, if you use a 4K Hertz mice. Awesome. The rest is like the physical stuff. I will show you the monitor itself. This is LED here. The 25 is here. I have no idea why. It's super ugly when it's when it's illuminated. The foot is like, or the stand is made to fit on your desk. You can easily use it like this. Then you are able to just put your keyboard like here, and you have your mouse pad here, or do it like here and have a keyboard here. That's for people who use the stand. It's good. The stand itself is like mounted very easily. You have like this guy down here, which you can use with your hand or just with your hand. Then you can put this one up, away, and the easiest thing you ever see or I really enjoy is like this. It's just plug and play, drag and drop. You just click the button and then you enable it, and that's it. It has integrated cable management down here. It's working. You can put everything through there. The power supply is built in the monitor, a thing I don't like anymore, to be honest. I know it's cool, the cable management is way better with the built-in power supply, I know, but to be honest, if you damage the cable, the power cable or something else, and the power supply is in lane, you have to replace the whole monitor or have to demount it and to open it. If it's outside, you just buy a new one, change it. No need to open the display. And how you can adjust it. The tilt is not very good, to be honest. The viewing angles are on the display, but the tilt is not good. I barely found a good position, nor this, because in my opinion, that's not really high enough, because my view line when I'm sitting is here, and it should be between the middle and here, somewhere like on this point. And how will I do this? And even if I tilt it like this, it's not getting better, to be honest. And I also can't do like this, put it here, because tilt is like missing 5 to 10 centimeters. So I don't know. I would use it with a monitor arm, to be honest, and adjust it freely like I always do. One thing is that they designed the backside of the panel pretty awesome, because from Asus and from BenQ, I know like you have the cables here, and then they have like the short radius, like it is directly touching the plastic here, and the cables getting stressed, and sometimes people just break their DisplayPort cables when they're using or when they are on the Asus, because the pressure and the force is too high when they move the monitor too often. So this will not happen here. Everything is free. That's good designed. The how can I say, the stick to navigate in the menu or on the menu on the OSD is like down here. On the very first thing, always the short menu opens, and the short menu is like fucking trash. I have no idea who made this. Then you go with, you can go into the extended menu, and this is also not very good in my opinion. It's not intentional. It's not like, I have no idea who made this. Just guys, if you see this, please change it, do it something else. Both of the menus, the short one and the extended one, are both absolutely awful in my opinion. No overview, no clearness, so no. Also the how it's sorted, I have no clue. Yeah. Also, this guy has native G-Sync, by the way, guys. Real native G-Sync. It has a built-in module without a fan who's like venting all the time. Also, I have a fan here on the AQN and I've never heard it. And you can measure the latency down here. That's why you have those USB cable inside. But one thing I realized it, or when I was reading the manual for it, you only can use, like on the old QNRs, mice who are already known or already tested, and you only can use cable bounded mice. I have no idea why. On the AQN, I can use everything I want, and you even can do those test procedure to get the mice or the mouse into the database to be an accepted product for those reflex latency analyzers. So you only can use known ones, as much as I understood it, and how Dell or Alienware describes it. Pretty strange. Also, besides the G-Sync, which is working very well, this monitor has an ultra low motion blur feature with the ability to change the strobe itself. But here's the thing, it's only for 360 Hertz. Why? What's the reason? For me, it's like, there's no reason to do this. Why would I implement it into a 480 Hertz native or 500 Hertz monitor? I have no clue. I won't show it, won't mention it, because for me it's brainless. Then I just buy the BenQ Sovi. Huh? So basically, this monitor has a very few count of people I would say or refer to or tell them to buy this, because I think there are better alternatives on the market, or better monitors with better use cases and lower prices. For example, the 360 Hertz Alienware monitor for around $400 US, something like that. But yeah, it's here, it's working. It's just how it's made, pretty advanced. You also can see it on the cables, by the way. It's like, it comes with a normal DisplayPort to DisplayPort, and it comes also with USB to DisplayPort cable, and is also capable of USB-C to USB-C, which is pretty good. And I think that's something we need to see more in future. Higher DisplayPort standards, higher HDMI standards. HDMI is for console gaming, for TVs. But DisplayPort is for real performance. This one is only running DisplayPort, by the way, guys. You can't do like above 240 Hertz with HDMI, just to explain to you, because there's no existing and working solution of a higher HDMI graphics card to monitor. Never saw it. I know RT claims here, NVIDIA, not NVIDIA, how do I call it? AMD claims it on the latest Radeon. Never saw it, to be honest, and I will not test it, because DisplayPort is for me still, for chip-to-chip interconnection with a G-Sync model, for example, the leading force, and that will stay the leading force as much as I saw with the new USB-C DisplayPort standards. So that's basically it, guys. If you have any questions, put it in the comments down below. From my side, as this is a non-paid review and no one sent me, I paid everything myself, I can tell you, Don't do it. That's not worth it, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.